I have really high expectations. That's something I learned about myself recently, is that I'm constantly always looking at things and comparing them to what I've seen, what the movies portray or what the picture portrays or what it's supposed to be like, that when I'm at the place, I'm constantly in this negative lens, looking at life in black and white. And it makes it really hard to be pleasantly surprised. It makes it really hard to really take in the moment or just to even accept what's going on. Um, High expectations is robbing me of my joy. Optox. And the reason why I'm talking about this right now on a cliff, a few hours away from San Francisco, is I just did a big long trip up the coast with my brother and my friend. And we're going surfing. We're doing a bunch of cool stuff. Check out Big Sur, check out Morro Bay, check out all of these spots along the coast because I'm moving up to Idaho. And my whole life I've lived in Southern California, and I've never gone past LA because the traffic's so bad. And I've been told my whole life that, California doesn't really have much going on. It's just a bunch of cities. There's no like rural towns. There's no places where, corn grows. There's no places where it smells like cow poop. There's no places where you can get away from anybody because it's so crowded. And so I wanted to go and say goodbye to California. So I asked my brother and my friend, and we hopped in a car. We drove up the coast, and honestly, everything I have thought about California has been proven wrong. About how you can't experience the same amount of beauty like that you do in some of the other states, with mountains, with deer, with elk, with foxes. I've seen all of it. Seals. And it really makes you think that like I'm going into stuff constantly. This isn't the high expectation part, but I'm going into it with an expectation. And almost always I have a skewed perception on what is actually real. And so we're making it up the coast, and this is supposed to be the final spot. This is Point Reyes, California. It's about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 from San Francisco. Saw the Golden Gate Bridge. Made it up here. We camped in Bodega Bay, one of the most beautiful spots ever. But we're out here, and this is supposed to be, you can see really far down that beach. In all the pictures and all the videos I see, it's perfect. And so we're driving up the hill, and it's really clear. And I'm like, dang, dude, I'm going to catch it on a really clear day, really early. Nobody's going to be here. And we're driving up the hill, and I see the fog, and I see the wind. And I see all of these things start to set in that really change how I expected. It's really way different than what I expected. And so I'm walking down here, and I'm seeing that there's, a bunch of fog, and I climb over the guardrail, and I hop down here. And this is supposed to be the spot where you see the whole coast. And it's toast. I'm not trying to rhyme or whatever, but it's not what I expected. And rather than sitting here and being upset about it, and being like, man, this isn't what I expected. The waves are cool, but I can't really even see that far. And, it's a little too windy. It's a little too, choppy out there. Man, I'm bummed, and I can't live in this moment. So I'm going to sit there and be upset. I'm not going to do that. As much as I want to be upset that things didn't go my way, I can't. Because this constant high expectation that things need to be the way that I see it. One, that isn't following the thing that I say, oh yeah, I'm Christian, it's all in God's hand, just let Jesus take the wheel. It's not following that at all. It's saying that, it has to be my way, constantly. And not his. But number two, I'm acting like a baby. And honestly, I'm a drag to be around when I'm like that. And I'm thinking about it like we get up to Big Sur, and I brought the wrong wetsuit. My wetsuit has it's a 3.2. It said 62 on Surfline, and a 3.2 would be okay at that period of time. But it was freezing cold. It was way colder. Surfline always lies. You should never trust it. But I was like, Surfline's like the app that you can check the waves and stuff. But I was like, dang, dude. I expected it to be warm and pumping. It's freezing cold, super windy, and the waves aren't as good as I expected. And, honestly, I can't even lie. I thought about leaving. I was like, I can't live in this moment. I can't do this because it's not what I expected. And after some convincing from my brother and his friend, it was like, all right, we'll stay and we'll go to the gorge. And it was one of the most beautiful things I've experienced, And I never expected the gorge. I expected way different things. And so it seems like some of the best things are unexpected. And I'll share a journal entry with you guys that I did. I was sitting there looking at this coast, and imagine Big Sur. If you haven't seen it, look up some pictures. But it's this cliff that just smacks straight into the middle of this deep water ocean. And it looks like they're married so begrudgingly. There's no beach. There's no, terms that they comply on. It is the most crude intersection of two different things that are completely opposite. But it happens to be one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And it seems like the best things are the things that you don't expect being together. Like chicken and waffles, and that buffalo sauce and maple syrup. Those two things are some of the best things I've ever had. It's the things that you don't expect that surprise you and that make your life actually worth living. If I knew every single thing that came up in my life, I probably wouldn't want to live it, And you look at the people who don't want to live the most, and it's the people that live the life that they know what's going to happen every single day. And honestly, I'm grateful it's cloudy today. I'm grateful that I'm able to be experiencing this, not in the way that I wanted to. And I had a realization that my high expectations are robbing me from my joy. They say comparison is the thief of joy. And I think comparison and expectations really go hand in hand, because if I expect something and I get to the place, I immediately start comparing it to what I expected. And it seems like a lot of things fall through in life. They say you make plans and God laughs. And honestly, I think he's probably laughing this morning. I think he's probably been laughing a good amount of the plans that I've made. And so I have plans to do a lot of cool stuff. But I really need to lean into what is actually real. Because what makes a really good person is not somebody who's able to survive a scenario that they understand really well. It's not somebody. You don't measure a man by what he does at his best. The best he does at his best, but the best he does at his worst. Right? When he's stripped of everything. That's what David Goggins talks about. That's what all of these philosophers who lean into the fitness realm talk about. Greg Plitt, all of these people. It's who are you when you're exhausted and you have nothing and things have been stripped away from you. And so what is the reality of me? What is the reality of my situation? And how can I be a versatile human being? Be able to dance in the rain, per se. My aunt always said, expect nothing and be pleasantly surprised. If I expected, this cliff to not even be here, I would be stoked that it's here. And so having low expectations from people and stuff sometimes can seem a little bit pessimistic, but other times it can make your whole life a lot better. And so expectations is one of the things that I got to gauge. It's something that I can control. It's a tab that's running in the back of my mind that I get to close. And so, I feel like lately I've been overthinking and expecting a lot. And sometimes I just want to close that tab and just say, I'm not going to let that run my life anymore. I'm not going to let that mess up this moment. Because the truth is that I will never get this moment ever again. I'll never be living in California. I'll never be this same age. This coast will never look the same. There's a great quote. A man cannot step into the same river because, one, he isn't the same man, and two, it isn't the same river. Things are constantly changing, and so you got to be able to evolve with the times. So I'm really grateful, I'm really grateful. In fact, I'm so fucking grateful that I'm sitting out on a cliff trying to talk about it. And there was a few moments on my trip where it's like, this is my last 2 weeks in California. Do I really want to spend it in the cold, sleeping in my car, you know, doing like camping in the dirt? But then I also thought that same question, this is my last 2 weeks. Do I really want to be upset, groggy, grumpy, complaining, you know, just bitching? Do I really want to do that for my last 2 weeks? Or do I want to make the most of this? And so with that new mindset and that new look at life, and understanding that the things that I don't expect are some of the most beautiful things in the whole entire world, it's like, what happened to that gratefulness and that appreciation I had for life a few weeks ago? And why am I upset? And let's just shut that down. Let's shut it down and let's move forward. And so I'm excited. We saw some really cool things. We got a long trip home. This is the end of the California expedition. I'm filming a vlog. I think I'm going to post it on like a different channel, just kind of for like spam and stuff. But yeah, I'm excited for this next journey up into Idaho. Sorry, it's been a second since I made a vlog. I was kind of working hard for this one. It didn't come out how I expected, but honestly, it's still beautiful. I wish I could see a little bit further, but you know, you win some and you lose some. And so thank you for everybody who's shown support on the videos. Comment down below some moments that have been ruined by high expectations, just so I know who stayed till the end. And as always, it's been Op Talks.
So you got the cross, right?
Yes. We're going to have to talk about everything.